from third world fishing village to the richest country on earth in just 60 years. Singapore's wealth explosion will blow your mind. This tiny island nation cracked the code that made every citizen a millionaire. And today, I'm revealing their billion-dollar blueprint that you can copy to build your own fortune. Welcome back to Luxona, where millionaires are made. I'm about to expose Singapore's insane wealth secrets that transformed a broke Southeast Asian port into the world's financial powerhouse. If you want to build generational wealth, smash that like button and let's dive into this money-making masterclass that will change your life forever. Picture this. In 1965, Singapore was literally kicked out of Malaysia, expelled from their own federation. No natural resources, no oil, no gold, no diamonds. Just 2 million people crammed onto a tiny island smaller than New York City. Their GDP per capita, a pathetic $500 per person. Fast forward to today, over $70,000 per person. That's a mind-blowing 14,000% increase. But here's the crazy part. This wasn't luck. This was a calculated strategy that you can replicate in your own life. The man behind this miracle was Lee Kuan Yew, Singapore's founding father, who had a vision so bold that everyone called him crazy. While other countries were fighting wars and political battles, Lee was playing a completely different game. He understood something that most leaders miss. Geography is destiny, but only if you know how to leverage it. This is the first wealth principle we can learn from Singapore. Position yourself strategically in high-value markets. Singapore played geography like a chess grandmaster. They positioned themselves as the gateway between East and West, between the economic powerhouses of China and India, between the manufacturing centers of Southeast Asia and the consumer markets of Europe and America. Every ship, every trade deal, every business expansion had to go through Singapore. They became the ultimate middleman, collecting fees on trillions of dollars in global trade flowing through their ports every single year. But being a middleman wasn't enough. Lee knew that to become truly wealthy, Singapore needed to become indispensable. So they built the most advanced port infrastructure in the world. They created free trade zones where companies could operate with minimal red tape. They established themselves as the logistics hub where businesses could store, process, and distribute goods across the entire Asian continent. Today, Singapore's port handles over 37 million shipping containers annually, generating billions in revenue. The lesson for you? Don't just participate in markets, become essential to them. Here's what nobody talks about. Singapore eliminated corruption completely. And I mean completely. While other developing countries lost 20, 30, even 50% of their GDP to corrupt politicians and bureaucrats, Singapore's leaders took actual pay cuts and created the world's most efficient government. They established the Corrupt Practices Investigation Bureau with unlimited power to investigate anyone, including the Prime Minister himself. Zero tolerance means zero waste of taxpayer money, and every dollar gets reinvested into wealth-building infrastructure. The result? Singapore consistently ranks as the least corrupt country in Asia and one of the top 5 globally. When businesses know their investments are safe, when entrepreneurs know they won't get shaken down by corrupt officials, money flows like water. Foreign direct investment poured into Singapore at rates that broke every economic model. The wealth-building lesson here is massive. Create systems of absolute integrity in your business and personal finances. They didn't just build schools, they built wealth factories. Singapore's education system produces the world's top mathematicians, engineers, and entrepreneurs. They invested 20% of their entire national budget into human capital development. But here's the genius part. They didn't just focus on local talent. They created scholarship programs to attract the brightest minds from around the world, then gave them citizenship and high-paying jobs in Singapore's growing economy. Smart people create smart money. Singapore understood that in the knowledge economy, the country with the best brains wins. They partnered with MIT, Stanford, and other top universities to establish research campuses in Singapore. They offered massive tax incentives for tech companies to relocate their Asian headquarters to Singapore. The result? Singapore became the innovation capital of Southeast Asia, with more patents per capita than almost any other country. Here's where it gets really interesting. Singapore became Asia's Switzerland. They created a tax haven strategy that attracted every millionaire and billionaire in the region. Ultra-low corporate tax rates of just 17%, zero capital gains tax, and banking secrecy laws that protected wealthy clients from their home countries. Every wealthy family in Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, and the Philippines moved their money to Singapore banks. But they didn't stop there. Singapore created family offices, private wealth management structures that allow ultra-high net worth individuals to manage their fortunes with maximum tax efficiency. Today, Singapore manages over $4 trillion in assets, making it one of the world's largest wealth management centers. The city-state literally became a money magnet, attracting wealth from across the globe. The banking sector alone employs over 200,000 people in Singapore, generating massive tax revenues that get reinvested into infrastructure, education, and more wealth-building initiatives. It's a virtuous cycle. Attract wealth, provide excellent service, reinvest the profits, attract even more wealth. While other countries talked about innovation, Singapore paid for it. They established massive government grants for research and development. They created venture capital funds backed by government money to invest in promising startups. They offered tax breaks that made Singapore the most attractive place in Asia for tech companies to establish operations. The results speak for themselves. Singapore is now home to the regional headquarters of Google, Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft, and hundreds of other tech giants. The startup ecosystem generated over $15 billion in funding last year alone. Singapore proved that when you invest heavily in innovation, the returns multiply exponentially. Today, the results are absolutely insane. 1 in every 125 people in Singapore are millionaires. That's the highest concentration of millionaires in Asia. Their sovereign wealth fund, Temasek Holdings, controls over $800 billion in assets globally. The average Singaporean family has more accumulated wealth than families in the United States or most European countries. They literally created a money-printing machine disguised as a country. But here's what makes this even more incredible. Singapore's success isn't slowing down. They're now investing billions in artificial intelligence, biotechnology, and sustainable energy. They're positioning themselves to dominate the next wave of technological innovation. While other countries debate and discuss, Singapore executes and profits. The government of Singapore Investment Corporation, their other sovereign wealth fund, manages over $690 billion and has generated average annual returns of over 8% for the past 20 years. That's wealth creation on a scale that most countries can only dream about. So how can you copy Singapore's wealth-building blueprint? First, position yourself strategically in high-growth markets and industries. Don't just follow trends. Anticipate them and position yourself ahead of the curve. Second, invest heavily in your skills and education. Singapore proved that human capital is the most valuable asset in the modern economy. Third, build systems that generate passive income streams. Singapore didn't just work hard, they worked smart by creating systems that generated wealth automatically. Fourth, network strategically with successful people who can accelerate your wealth journey. Singapore attracted talent and capital by becoming the place where successful people wanted to be. Fifth, maintain absolute integrity in all your financial dealings. Singapore's zero corruption policy didn't just create good government, it created an environment where wealth could flourish without fear. Your personal brand and business reputation are your most valuable assets. Singapore proves that with the right strategy, any situation can become a wealth opportunity. If a tiny island with zero natural resources can become the richest nation on Earth, imagine what you can achieve with the right mindset, strategy, and execution. The principles that made Singapore wealthy, strategic positioning, continuous learning, system building, and unwavering integrity, these same principles can make you wealthy too. Subscribe to Luxona for more wealth-building secrets that actually work. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a money-making opportunity, and comment below with your biggest takeaway from Singapore's Wealth Masterclass. Your millionaire journey starts right now, and Singapore just showed you exactly how to get there. Luxona, where millionaires are made.